Welcome to Previously Prohibited Live. We're trying to do Sunday nights. I will be away for the next, I think, maybe just one. So anyway, we might not be doing our next one, but after that, we'll be back. And we obviously had some horrendous news today. Israel, in an airstrike, appeared to have targeted several Al Jazeera journalists and killing four of them. One who was particularly well known. He had like 1.5 million followers or something. As well as the a Palestinian soccer player. I don't think it was the same airstrike, but another airstrike, some airstrike, who was known as like the Palestinian Pele. So just devastating news out of Gaza today.
Yeah, it's been just kind of a really long week for me. I don't know, for whatever reason, it just feels like it's never ending, and it feels weird to like
For
complain
some
about things
reason,
like
because it is
this.
never ending.
Right, right. I know. It always feels weird to me to like complain because obviously it's like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like sitting in my house, right? But you're just watching this thing that you can't do anything about, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and
It's
the
something called
whole world.
empathy. Yeah, empathy.
I know, I know.
Other people don't have it necessarily.
But it's you were just watching the whole world do nothing, right? Like the
Yeah,
whole freaking world. And then
yeah,
we've had this like new round of aid drops, the airdrops, right? And
yeah,
they've just been killing people left and right with those.
yeah.
You've got like the most powerful governments in the world in the history of humanity, and everybody's just acting like, oh well, there's nothing we can do. Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna just go drop pallets of food with parachutes, as if this is like this totally inaccessible place that no one could possibly go. Like that's the only thing they could possibly do is just this
Yeah.
bullshit, which is like this hodgepodge. This is like what you would expect civilians with very little money to do.
Yeah.
Like they had pulled all of their money and like, oh, this is because that's the best they could do. And you've got
Yeah.
like literal well armed, well funded governments, and they're pretending like that's the best they could do. It's
Yeah.
infuriating, and it makes me so mad that I don't even know what to say or do anymore.
Yeah. And just for the audience, Mel and I did not coordinate. I think we were both feeling particularly
I know.
solidarity today, so we both independently decided to wear watermelon shirts. But you know what? I've seen a few people. I'm just gonna name them because I like really don't care anymore. Like this guy Eli Klein, who was a COVID dissident, and I was friends with him during
Yeah.
that time. He's blocked me since then because he's I mean, I would say bordering on lunacy, the things that he says and the defenses that
He's
he gives for
sicko.
Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was saying, someone sent me screenshots of his text. Like he was
Mhm.
saying that the Palestinian Pele guy was a terrorist, and the only person who says he was killed by an Israeli airstrike was a convicted terrorist, and it was actually Palestinians who killed him. Just like completely made up, like literally just put. And it's just it really scares me how many people just go along with like someone says that, oh, this guy's a terrorist, so it's okay, Israel killed him. It's like Orwellian, where, oh, the government
Right.
says this person is a threat, so they're disappeared
Right.
and nobody said like or you really see how this could happen.
Oh yeah, well, what's infuriating to me is I'm like, okay, well, the government called me a terrorist because I was protesting against mask mandates for my child when she was entering the third grade. I was literally called a domestic
Yeah,
terrorist,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
your labels don't mean anything. And then, just to that one single comment from Eli, which I didn't see, but uh, it's like, okay, so let me get this straight. This guy's a terrorist, but Israel didn't kill him. He was
yeah.
killed by someone else who is also a terrorist working for Israel, because we
It's
do know.
I didn't even understand the tweets. I think he
Yeah.
was trying to say that the only person who claimed he was the soccer player was killed by Israel was a terrorist, not that the soccer player himself
Okay,
was.
okay.
But it's like, frankly, his tweets are kind of incomprehensible, and he's calling it a blood libel. I mean, just crazy stuff. Like, there's nobody like
Yeah,
just
everything's always
like
got to be special with Israel, right? Like it can't just be
yeah,
like, oh, that's misinformation. It's got to be a blood libel, right?
yeah.
It's like,
It's
Give me a
And these
freaking
are people
break.
like what always perplexes me about this thing, or just like gets my mind spinning is like these were the people who were skeptical of the government during COVID. Like, how are you just like, oh, but whatever the Israeli government
Right.
says, it gotta be true. Never
Right.
mind that they've been caught lying like, I don't know, a billion times since 1948 or before. Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
and it,
It's bizarre, right? And it's infuriating, and to a certain, it's really just insulting to the intelligence, right? At a certain
yeah.
point it becomes that, okay, you are Jewish, you have this connection to the state of Israel, whatever, all right? But stop insulting my intelligence, okay? Just make an appeal on emotional level. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, like that is probably the most convincing of all of the appeals, because
Yeah.
logically none of this makes any sense. Nothing that they're doing makes any sense at all. It is, from a military standpoint, from a if you want to have any kind of reputation in the world going forward, why would you do this to your state? Why would you portray your state in such a way that you're never going to be respected by future generations?
I
Anybody
mean,
that's
I think someone
yeah,
like Eli actually doesn't like I think he's so brainwashed he actually thinks Israel can't do anything wrong and so he'll grasp at any straw. Like it's insane. This isn't like I don't
yeah,
think this is like actual Hasbara like or maybe he is evil. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like
yeah,
brainwashed evil, but it's just like you really see how I mean it really terrifies me how quickly people will go along with these labels and I mean, know a couple non-Jews who are like I would describe as like neocon Zionists,
oh yeah, they're crazy too, they're
Catholics.
insane.
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
just do the same thing. Oh, someone said he's a terrorist, so no problem that they killed him. I'm
yep.
like, oh, really? You just accept that? I mean,
Right. At this late in the game, and again, it's like
yeah,
this isn't January or February of 2024, which again,
yeah,
already they had gone like so way too far.
yeah,
For me, first 5 days in was way too far. But
yeah.
yeah, this is 22 months in. This is bullshit. You mean to tell me, like again with this Al Jazeera reporter, they're trying to, of course, say that he was Hamas. I'm like, the guy's literally
Yep.
reporting on the ground. They knew at pretty much every minute of every day for the last 22 months, they have known exactly where he was. At
Yeah.
one point, he was detained by Israel and then let go. Okay, so you're telling me that just now, all of a sudden, right before they're about to launch this brand new occupation excursion to occupy all of Gaza, that they just so happened to figure out that this guy was Hamas and they had to murder this very prominent journalist with this huge following that who would have been able to show what they were going to be doing on the ground? Bullshit. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Of course
Stop
it is.
insulting my intelligence. Stop calling me stupid. Just shut your freaking mouths. All right?
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is like, even if this, we have something called due process in like civilized Western societies, which Israel claims to be. And there's a reason we
Right.
have it, right? Because the government can levy accusations and it can turn out that they're false. And we want people to be able to defend themselves and to present evidence. Obviously, sometimes there are extenuating circumstances where like,
Right. They
someone's
would say,
about to
this
carry.
is a war and they can't go
Yeah,
along with
but
that.
there's that. That's actually not like that's just bullshit. Like if you know where the
Right.
guy is, you could go. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's obvious that this is just all made up. They just make these things up and just label them a terrorist. It really reminds me of George Orwell's 1984, where it's just like the government says, I forgot what term
Yeah.
they use or whatever, but just a threat, and then everyone goes along with it, and then you never hear the person's just disappeared, and that's how it is. And like,
Right.
it's just shocking to me. And yeah.
No, and it should be scary to everyone else the way in which they are able to kind of memory hole the past, rewrite the history, and then just move forward. And then the number of people that we have now know of in our society who will just go along with the most heinous violations of international law, of international norms, Western norms, diplomatic norms, or democratic norms, to just because a certain group of people in power says that this is what they want, right?
Yeah.
And of course, and then they have these, and they justify it with their own like weird fever pitch dreams of being annihilated at all times. No, these people are gonna, they live to kill all Israelis, all Jews, whatnot. And it's just bullshit, and it's weird. But again, and we've said this before, that if you wake up and you say the Palestinians want to kill all Jews, there's literally nothing you can't justify if you actually think that, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen it. There is no line that they won't cross. The lines are gone. They don't exist anymore. They have done every single terrible thing that you could possibly think of, short of, I guess the only line left would be nuclear weapons. But when you've dropped 7 atomic bombs worth of weapons, is that line still there?
Well, and also they're not going to drop a nuclear weapon because the fallout would affect Israel. I mean, because they're so geographically,
right,
proximal. So that's, they have
and they want to be able to use the land. They want Gaza. Right.
It's, although weirdly, it's not like part of the biblical, like it's not Judea and Samaria. It's not. So but they want it.
Well, I think if they use the lines from like Numbers 34, it's all the way from like the Euphrates to the Nile. So it's all of that land.
So they're enacting their final solution, and it's clear that the pathetic Western governments, not to mention the Arab governments, just absolutely pathetic, will not stand up for the Palestinians. Won't do anything about this. It's just abysmal.
Yes, and real quick, everybody is correcting me, and I apologize. On my initial tweet, I said that there was 186 journalists killed, and I got that number from, I didn't just pull it out. Hold on. Actually did get it from somewhere. I'll tell you. And this is from the BBC, so that's where I got the number from, and they brought that's who gave me. It says according to the Committee to Protect Journalists, 186 journalists have been confirmed killed since the start of Israel's military offensive in Gaza. So that's where I got the number from. People are telling me I'm wrong. Some people are saying it's like 203, or excuse me, 205, 250. So I'll look into it and I'll issue it up, but I did want to put that out there.
It's also kind of missing the point for people to nitpick on that. They've killed a lot of journalists.
It is, but I do think that it's so stunning how many that they have killed. You're talking about one every other or every 3 days, I think it is now.
Yeah.
So it's really, really wild. And I thought 186 was high. So if these guys are correct with 250, it's even more just like, what the hell are we even doing here, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we know how important these journalists are because Israel has barred all international journalists from going in, other than, of course. their freaking toadies, their
Douglas
dogs.
Murrays.
Their dogs
the Douglas
that they
Murrays,
walk in on a fucking leash and yank their collar if they do or say anything that they're not supposed to. So so that doesn't count. Those people do not count. Those people are disgusting pigs. Speaking
and
of
we
disgusting
know
pigs,
I was just gonna say quickly, we know the reason they don't want journalists in there is because the devastation is like way worse. They're probably way more. Yeah. Whenever people say the 60,000 number, I'm like, that's like they've been saying that since like I don't know, January of 2024. Right. Like it's obviously not 60,000. I heard a figure that was like from it was on a Tucker Carlson interview, I think with John Mersheimer, and Mersheimer said he looked at figures, he thinks it's closer to 500,000.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna see. Every now and then they'll kind of hint at that, right? Because they'll put in estimates of how many people are in certain locations or how
Yeah.
many people are being guarded and whatnot. And anytime that you add those numbers up, they come up to, because it'll be like, 700,000 here and then 400,000
Right.
here. And when you add those up, it comes up to about anywhere from 1.5 to 1.7 million. And we know
Right.
that when the war started, there was 2.2 million. We know that about 200,000 people have been able to leave, have gotten, they had dual citizenship. They were able to get out. So that brings the number down to 2 million. And then, yeah, depending on their, the estimates. But again, all of that is Israel's numbers, which I can assure you, I will trust the Gaza Ministry of Health's numbers 1,000 times more than I would trust anything that comes out of the Israeli government.
I mean, all they do is lie.
That's all they do.
Lie after lie. There was also we should probably mention who was it? It was somebody very important, like leading Zionist person. I think I retweeted it, so I should be able to find this quickly. Oh, the former head of the Jewish Organization for Israel, Avram Berg, has called for Jews to abandon Israel. And yeah, what's his deal?
This is like a position that he took, I think, a few years ago before the war. He started kind of coming out against this. He's like one of these like liberal Zionists per se. I think he kind of, from what I could tell, he seemed to have a little bit more foresight that I believe his turn came in 2021 because most people don't talk about what happened in 2021, but it actually was pretty brutal, the war in 2021, and pretty merciless. And I think he just kind of saw the writing on the wall, especially with these far right settler groups ascending to power in the 2022 elections. My message to people like that is that guy lives in a settlement right outside of Israel.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah. So, what are you doing? Take up arms. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you want to save the Jewish people or whatever it is you think you're saving here, the best thing you could do is you could rally people within the state of Israel if that's what you want to do, but you're not doing that. You're calling for, Jews, the diaspora Jews, to, I guess, rally and write a petition to the international court. Why aren't you appealing as a Israeli, as a Jew, as a religious Jew? Why aren't you appealing to the American Congress and asking them, or the president, you as yourself, asking them, why are you attacking the ICC? Right? Yeah. Why are you sanctioning? There's a million things that you could be doing. And I don't know what this little petition thing is, but I just think of it as more theater to kind of save reputation. And I have zero patience for any of it. There are things that he could be doing that would be really effective. Yeah. And but it seems like this is more theatrics. Yeah. Right?
Well, that's so much of what we see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think it was someone, and I can't remember exactly who it was. I see so many tweets, but they said that where is like the John Brown of Israel, right? This kind of this person who was willing to take up arms in defense of the Palestinians. Where are the Israelis willing to do that? Because it's simply wrong. Because we've seen this throughout history. Even the Germans taking up arms against the Germans to protect Jews. And yet we don't see that here in Israel. No one. Yeah. The best we can get is, we need a petition.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, clearly the plan is to make the conditions so miserable they drive all the Palestinians out, those that they don't kill, into Egypt, I guess, even though Egypt doesn't want to take them, but maybe to make conditions so bad that like Egypt is shamed into taking them. Unclear.
I don't know I honestly don't know what their plan is. I actually think it's too late for all of that. Right. And I've thought this again for a really long time. I've thought this essentially since January of 2024. We talked about this on the pod, which will release tomorrow. But we talked about this the other day. But I think the most important thing that happened in this war especially that doesn't ever get talked about, is the fact that in 2020, in January 2024, the IDF conducted a controlled demolition of the Ministry of Records in Gaza. So they
You're
destroyed
right.
everything. And everything that you can think of that would prove anything about people, like their the birth certificates, their death certificates, their marriage licenses, divorce decrees, any kind of land ownership. It's just gone.
Yeah.
Everything that you can ever think of, most of us have a safe. Just imagine if, number one, your safe is gone because your house got blown up, but now the government copies of that, those are also gone, right? And so that's what they want. They want to send basically people. They want to send over 1 million people into Egypt with no money, no record of who they are, who they're related to, anything. It's so much worse than any kind of refugee crisis that we in the West have ever faced, certainly. And Egypt's an extremely poor country, and it's already an extremely vulnerable regime there, right? And so I just don't think they're going to go along with it.
Right, and they're bribed by the U.S., so the U.S. might try to bribe them to take in the refugees, but
I don't actually think they're going to. I don't think the U.S. wants to do that because they understand how fragile Egypt is. And they know it won't go well. And you obviously don't want to destabilize the country that's right there on the border with Israel, right? So I don't think.
Although Israel seems to be a big fan of destabilizing every country around it. So that does seem to be their strategy. But maybe I guess that's in the wrong way. And then you're going to have it, what have people been tweeting this? I think it's like the what's his name? Inigo Montoya problem, where all these people whose family members lost all their family. They're hate Israel even more. That was what I think it was Pat Buchanan who said that in 2014 when Israel killed a lot of innocent people, was like the little boys of the brothers of the little girls who were killed are going to grow up and they're going to join Hamas because they're going to remember. And then you get October 7th. So
yep, I know. And it's like, what sorry, I'm trying to pull up the chat, but I can't. But
I can pull up the chat for some reason, and I saw we have a comment from my buddy Stephanie Edmonds. She says she's here.
Hi, Steph. No, I think about that all the time too, because it's like, what if, I'm sorry, but if Israel came and blew up my home and they killed my mom and my dad and my brother and my sister and maybe my kid and maybe my husband, me as a woman, I'm probably going to devote my life to doing everything I can to seek revenge, right? And
of course.
I think that that's a totally human nature. I think it's really rich coming from the country whose intelligence agency, Mossad, ran around the world murdering former Nazis for 20-something freaking years. And the world apparently just let them do it, right? And now, but when the idea that Palestinians would hold any kind of grudge or lust for revenge is just, it's so abhorrent. And no, we have to, no. That just goes to show you that they're terrorists. It's like, just, piss
off. While Israel is clearly levying what could only be described as, a 22-month revenge campaign. And you can go back and there was a suicide bombing and so whatever, the revenge cycle. But obviously all of this started in 1940. Well, you might be able to go back farther, but the real starting point was the Nakba, when 750,000 Palestinians were driven out of their homeland to make way for what's now Israel proper. Many of the descendants of those people are now the people who live in Gaza, including our buddy Khalil Sayegh, is a descendant of his family's property and jewelry store was taken by Israel, and they were forced to resettle in Gaza and start from scratch. So, I mean, you can go on forever, but like if you don't give people their rights and
Right.
which people in Gaza don't have, and we've gone over that a million times on this show, even though like the Zionists deny it, because they weren't
Right. Well,
technically they weren't in there were no physical Israeli soldiers in Gaza. They just control the land, the airspace, and the borders, and they shoot people in the fishing boats on the water, and they have robot
right.
machine guns patrolling the border. So if you go out and like, it's very hard to get a permit to get out and get the medicine you need or the education you want or anything or see family who live outside of Gaza. So like, it's arguably worse than an occupation. I mean, I think Gaza is worse, like more miserable than the West Bank even before all of this.
Right. Yeah, I think so. A lot of people don't know about this, but in the week before, it was late September of 2023. So this is about a week before October 7th. There was an incident in which Israeli forces claimed that there were some incendiary balloons drifted across the border. So they said that somebody essentially they would fill these balloons, I guess, up with gasoline, right? And then they put like something that's like will light them up. And then they just like float them off and they're supposed to start a fire, but they are very easy to spot. And it's kind of, it's a very, very as low tech as you can get, and it's very easy to spot and stop, right? And then
Right.
in response to these things, Israel conducts full airstrikes.
Yeah.
So so we're told, and I was interested because I was like, okay, well, um, how do we know that these balloons even existed? Because we're told that there's three of them, but they didn't actually make contact with Israel. They're able to spot them and then capture them. I'm like, okay, well, how do we know that these even exist, right?
Yeah.
And in response, they conducted three full days of airstrikes on Gaza, right? So just
Yeah.
imagine somebody's on the border, you don't even know them, they're floating these balloons supposedly across the border. They don't actually
Yeah.
cause any damage, they don't do anything, and in response Israel is literally destroying an entire building where people live,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, but they did a knock at the top and everybody, and it's like, oh, so I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be okay because you let me get out with my life before you destroyed my home and all
Yeah.
my possessions, and my children are now homeless.
Yeah. If you
You know,
even had time to get out.
right?
So,
Because somebody that I don't even probably know
yeah.
floated a balloon, and you say that they live in this apartment building. Like, again, how are people supposed to live like that?
I mean, like, look, we've said this before, but I don't think I can say it enough. Like, nobody would accept this kind of logic, any of this logic, if these were American children being
Right.
killed, like, or European children, being killed with names like Jonas and Kirsten and whatever, like, and they were blonde haired and blue eyed. Nobody would be like,
Right.
it's an average of 27 children a day killed since October 7th. That's
Right.
a classroom full of children. You think if these were Swedish children or American children or
Ukrainian
Jewish
children?
children, yeah, exactly, that people would be like, oh, well, we got to get those Hamas people. Like, there's always an
Right.
understanding of proportionality. Like, you can't just blow up a whole bunch of people. And it
Right.
takes like in very extreme circumstances where, like, I don't know, I guess you have a guy who's like plotting to, detonate a bomb that's going to kill whatever number of people within the next 10 minutes. And the only way to get him is to like target him and his daughter. Well, okay, who's his innocent 6-year-old daughter. Like, maybe like that's like, I mean, it's still very difficult, but the like ease with which people justify, well, we got a Hamas terrorist, we had to kill 230 Palestinian children to do that. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous.
It is. It is. And it wouldn't be, nor should it ever be accepted. It's always seen as barbaric. And especially because they just don't have to even prove. That's the whole thing that it just taking step, even if, right, we accepted that, which we don't. We literally don't. We have entire, we have volumes, we have libraries worth of humanitarian, international law, warfare law,
Yeah.
dedicated to this topic, and we don't accept that.
No.
but even if we did, the thing is that Israel is they're the government as a whole. They lie. They get caught lying all of the time,
Yeah.
right? So they don't even have to prove anything that they say, and that's something that's super frustrating.
Yeah.
Uh, Switching real quick to our friend Michael Tracy.
Michael, I like you personally. I just want to let you know in case you're watching us.
He's
However,
not watching us.
yeah, you have been maddening on the Epstein question.
Right. So something I found interesting. So Michael Tracy decides to go and kick up another
Hornet's nest.
For whatever reason, he has taken on this the plight of Jeffrey Epstein. It's a very bizarre case to really kind of hitch your wagon to in defense of Epstein. And I know he would say, I'm not defending Epstein per se. Yeah. I just think that there's lunacy that surrounds him. And it's like, okay, whatever. And I would personally say, even if you don't find the Epstein case necessarily that interesting, you don't have to be a kind of like any kind of legal scholar to look at it and say, actually, there's a lot of really, really weird stuff that happened here that is not explained in the public record. There is no real explanation for any of it. But for whatever reason, Michael Tracy has decided that the public record that exists on Jeffrey Epstein is infallible, apparently, and should not be questioned. I don't know. It's bizarre. But what I thought was so interesting was somebody linked to a post that he made post October 7th, right? So this was October 10th, and you guys all remember when the 40 beheaded babies thing came out. Right. And I was like, this is bullshit, like right away. I was like, I literally Kibbutz Be'eri looked up the population. It was like 751 people at the time. I was like, mathematically, it is impossible to have 40 infants. Like, this would just not happen, okay? Yeah. I'm literally like, I can still remember pulling up the fertility rates of Israel. And it's like, I think they have something like 3 or 4 per 1,000 women or something like that. It's just 40 infants, 40 babies, I think under 2 years old. That would not happen in a town of 750 people.
Yeah. And I've told you this, but I was visiting my father when October 7th happened by coincidence. I don't see him that often. So it's just like a weird coincidence. But he said, oh, this is a lie. Same with the mass rapes. And of course you're not allowed to say this stuff. Like, he said, Hamas, they have codes of honor. Like, there are some things they'll do and there's some things they won't. And like, mass rape is not a Hamas thing. That's an ISIS thing. And the beheading babies isn't like, that's just like, trying to make them look out to be the worst. We have some idiot in the chat. Like, I don't know if I can just block them. He says, I am Yisrael Chai from Australia. What's with the watermelon? LOL. Are you guys crying about another Hamas journalist who got taken out? Okay, just go away. Like, fuck off. Excuse my language. We don't. Go watch. Like Kobe. Okay. Anyway, of course, we're not allowed to. Yeah, I don't know.
Everybody I know in Australia is cool. Why do you suck so bad?
No, they've got a lot of Zionists. So anyway, there's no room for nuance. So of course you're not allowed to say, that, well, Hamas does some bad things, but like they actually wouldn't do this. But he called it like from the very beginning. So anyway.
Yeah. The mass rape thing never really made any sense to me because they were moving so fast, right? So it's like, oh, we're just going to like drop trials and like freaking have like a screw off party real quick. It doesn't actually make any sense. I'm not saying I don't think that a rape didn't happen. I'm sure it actually did. Yeah. And of course those things are tragic and I'm not trying to make light of it, but the idea that this was actually a strategic part of their warfare, which is what has been alleged. Right.
That's right. Right. That's exactly the point. Like, there were most likely some rapes that took place. Like,
absolutely.
Also because it wasn't all Hamas, some Palestinian militant groups like who weren't Hamas joined, but from what I
Right,
understand.
right. No, but the point was the allegation is this was a weapon of war, right? And this was actually
Right,
part of the
right,
strategy built into their war plan,
right.
which again, just from a kind of pressed point of view, if you're just simply looking at how quickly these things unfolded and how and with the response time, you don't have to be a genius, you don't have to be, you can just look at it and say, no, this is bullshit, right? And
Yeah,
no, there wasn't enough time. You would be able to produce the evidence if that happened, right?
yeah,
And of course they can't produce any evidence. um,
yeah.
and no, we know it didn't happen, and that's not to say that, yeah, I'm sure that some happened on an individual level. Those are tragedies, and those are of course, we all know what I think should happen to
I
those
mean,
men. I'm
yeah.
you know
No
full
one.
blown
Yeah, no one here is
bring out the
defending
cranes. No,
Hamas
yeah.
targeting civilians. We can say it a zillion times. It doesn't. And when just to sort of parse that a little bit, when you say there's no evidence, I mean, it says, well, there's so much evidence. Just read the articles. But
No.
like, there is no. I mean, I listened to very long breakdowns of this. There is no like eyewitness testimony. There is no woman who's come forward, except one who the Times covered, and she wasn't. It doesn't actually sound like she was like raped. It sounds like she was sexually abused. But whatever, we don't have to parse that.
And
But
again, we
and it
know
was
that
like an
we had,
isolated. Yeah, it was like
right.
an isolated incident. She was being held captive in a Hamas guy's house. This wasn't, and it was like actually like
Right.
weeks after October 7th. So it wasn't like
Oh, are you
part of
talking
it.
about the girl that was kidnapped?
Yeah, and she came
Okay.
forward, and the New York Times wrote a long thing about her, and she said she had been
Right.
sexually abused, and I'll
But she
assume that
wasn't
happened.
Israeli, right?
No, she was.
She was? Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
No, I mean, it's again, that's of course awful. I'm all for capital punishment for those people. I have no patience for any of that like that. But again, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the very, very specific allegation of using rape,
right,
using sexual assault as a weapon of
a
war,
war,
which
right,
of course is its own war crime, right?
right.
And there has been no evidence presented by Israel. There was one very bizarre testimony from a guy who said that it happened. And I actually thought it was very interesting because this man was suing the state of Israel for their lack of response. And then
Yeah.
he was the only one who came out and said that he, in fact, was raped. And of course, the Hezbollah didn't want to touch that because they're all on the Israeli payroll. And
Right.
this man is suing the state of Israel for their terrible response. So that was kind of an interesting thing, and they just swept it under the rug. But again,
And like a lot of the claims came from this organization Zaka, like especially the bizarre claims about like they were throwing breasts around that they had cut off. It's like
so
this
weird.
sound,
It was just really weird shit.
um,
Yeah.
But the people in that organization are like professional Hasbara.
No,
who
they're
have
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a history, like a proven track record of lying in
Yeah.
order to whip up genocidal sentiment against Palestinians. And then like their claims were dispelled, but this and I think most people actually like people don't talk about the beheaded babies and the rapes that much, I think, because it's kind of
They do and they don't, because I see every now and then somebody saying babies in the oven. They put babies in the oven still, you got to think even what was his name? Netanyahu, when he came in in July 2024 to address Congress, he repeated the babies in the oven lie to the Congress, and our Congress gave him something like 58 standing ovations.
Oh, that was disgusting.
As he's peddling this genocidal, and these are just genocidal lies. And it was total manufacturing for genocide. That's what they did. They manufactured consent for genocide with these lies. And something I thought was so interesting was Michael Tracy doubling down in his post October 7th. And I know, I'm not saying nobody got it 100% right.
Right.
Very few people. But
we probably still don't know exactly what happened. But anyway.
He initially said that he believed the 40 beheaded babies lie. He said that he had been on with I-24 News, and he just knows that those journalists would not simply make up a lie like that. And then when he gets called out on it, like the next day, he says, well, does it really matter if the babies were beheaded? And of course, it does fucking matter. It matters so much, right? Number one, it matters that the babies, whether or not they even existed, which they didn't.
They didn't.
Okay, we know that there was in fact one baby killed on that day, 10 months old, Mila Cohen, and she was shot in a crossfire, and her death is a tragedy, and I have said it 100 times, and her death was very, very sad and totally avoidable and should never have happened. That said, you know, I know, and we have another baby that's like,
sorry, my son is coming in.
Sweet baby.
He says that we've done enough of the live stream.
I know,
honey.
He's like, done.
Yeah. You can't go on because we have crazy people. They can't see your face.
Yes, I know. So, anyways, we'll get into Michael Tracy next time. I think we're gonna do more before Janine goes on vacation to the UK because I'm super jealous of her.
Well, I'm not looking forward to taking a toddler on an intercontinental flight, but we'll see.
How far is it? It's like 6 hours?
I think it's like a 6-hour flight or something. He really wants to be on camera. He keeps writing.
I know. He loves to see me.
Yes, he does. But we would love for him to see you, but I get scared because we have like this not job in the chat. Anyway, so let us sign off for now, and we will be back.
Tracy, you guys will see. I'll write a thread. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.